I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Back in September, we painted Ryan's two-car garage. Painted it white, and after doing all that work, putting the doors and rebuilding the sides and putting a new foundation, it looked really nice. The only thing we needed to do was paint the windows. But it got late, and we decided to do that the next day, and you know how those projects go. It slipped by. Now it's mid-November, and it really needs to have those windows installed. Ryan's working 12-hour days and driving back and forth to Grand Rapids, so he doesn't have much time at all. I volunteered to paint the windows. So I'm going to do it in the basement. I don't want to be out there in the outside trying to paint when it gets down below 40 degrees during the day. So the first thing that I need to do, these are old windows and they've been in that garage for a long time. I'm going to go through and patch the missing glazing putty and get them squared up before I put any paint on them. I use two different styles of putty knife. I use a heavy one for removing the glazing, and I use this flexible thin one to put it back in. Now, I'm not going to take out anything that isn't loose, but anything that doesn't want to stay in there, I want to remove and repair. If I were replacing the glass, I would go along and remove all the putty. And to do that, it's quite often easier to heat it up. Just take a small propane torch, heat up the putty and get it to come loose. But since I'm not going to be replacing a broken piece of glass, I don't want to put a bunch of heat on it. The chance of me cracking the glass if I do that is pretty good. Just dump off the junk over there in the wastebasket. This is a new can of glazing putty, so it's in pretty good shape. Quite often if it's been sitting around a while, it'll be a little bit hard, and then you just have to work it back and forth to get the oil worked back through the putty so it'll set up correctly. And I'm just sticking it in there so it'll stay when I come after it with a putty knife. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the putty knife at about a 20-degree angle, and I'm going to really flex it hard. What I want to do is I want to push that glazing putty down into that gap. And any of the excess, you can just skim off and move it back down the window. So that you get a good smooth surface on the putty. You get in the corner, you just edge it off. Take your putty knife, scrape away the excess. Do a little touch up on the paint. Make sure I got it scraped off so that when I put the new paint on, I don't have funny edges under it. These little knives come in really handy. Takes a straight razor, takes a single-edged razor blade, slides right in there. Takes a single-edged razor blade, slides right in. It only goes in from one side. And then you can retract it, put it back out. When you got it retracted, you can carry it in your pocket, not worrying about the edge. With it out, the blade locks in place. I'll set this one off to the side and let it sit. I want to give it at least a day to cure before I put any paint on it. Now you have to be careful, especially on these old windows. You can crack the glass and you can also break the muttons. Once you've done that, the window really needs to be replaced. You can build new ones, but by the time you've done that, put all that work into it, you really have got the price and the labor of a new window put into this old window. Supposed to go through and check this every spring to make sure you've got a good window to start with. But people just put in vinyl windows now. They don't bother repairing the old wooden ones. Myself, I like wooden windows. Part of it is the charm. The other part that I like about them is they last a long, long time if you take good care of them. Keep the glass in them, keep them puttied up. Problem with this one is they didn't put enough putty on there and they didn't replace the putty when it got bad. So water seeped in past the glass. When I'm removing the putty, I want to take off all the paint drips, because once I've got that soft putty on there, I don't want to have to try and go back and scrape it. And I'm going to scrape the frame of the window at the same time, because loose paint on there is just going to mean that the paint won't stick, and the time I spend now will be wasted. Putty that's in here is old and dried out. It's not sticking to the wood anymore. Snaps out of there like chalk. The glass is held in with these little metal glazing points. One got stuck into the putty. When I pulled the putty loose, the glazing point came out. So I'm just going to set it back in there. First I have to knock the old putty out of it. Just a little point. Got a place for your putty knife to go up against. Set your putty knife on the surface and push it in. There's another one right there, but that one's staying in place, so I'm just going to leave it where it is. I don't need to take it out as long as it's holding. The thing I'm trying to be careful of is I don't want to crack the glass, because this is supposed to be a simple job of painting. Of course, there is no such thing as a simple job of painting, but the less work I have to do on it, the better. And though glass cutting is kind of a fun thing to do, it's not something I want to have to do before I can paint these windows.
Now, if it only went that quickly in real life. Ah well. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments below. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.